Welcome to the Cryptocurrency Odyssey Show. The Cryptocurrency Odyssey Show highlights the latest news on cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, disruptive technology, economics, and world events. They interview top thinkers and entrepreneurs in the industry, and they cover topics like Bitcoin, technology developments, investing, trading, and ICOs. As our world keeps getting more and more digital, cryptocurrencies are changing along with it. Okay, audience, here's the host of Cryptocurrency Odyssey, Matt Leach.
Hi, listeners. We're back again, another week of our show, and wanted to touch base with you about the show today. It's about the exchange insolvency fears that are going through the industry right now. Apparently, there's a few exchanges out there that aren't doing so well. So what we're going to do is talk about that, see how it affects your life, my life, and everybody's life. We're going to talk about the complexities of the exchanges and get us all more enlightened about this gallery for cryptocurrency. My co-host today is Noah Leach, and he'll be helping me enlighten all of us about this. Hi, Noah. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing pretty good. It's hot today. We're going to have 103, and I think you already knew that. But anyway, here's a quick description of how the crypto exchange fears might function in the cryptocurrency world, and then we'll get into other coins and how they're doing if we do have some time. So without turning this into a big story, we'll get started. The show today is a little different than usual from our previous shows, and we're kind of building on last week's show where we talked about the current exchanges. But this time it's about the fears of exchanges going broke. So we've kind of adapted the content, of course. And today we'll have another look at how, as a user of crypto exchanges, cryptocurrency could be an economic path to freedom for you. But first, a quick review of the subject at hand. And that subject is how solvent or insolvent crypto exchanges might be at this moment in time. Okay, one of the CEOs out there, Sam Bankman, he is the FTX CEO. He shared his thoughts on the state of the crypto market, where it's going, the platforms, companies within it, that kind of thing. He claimed that there are still many remaining third-tier crypto exchanges that are insolvent, but yet to be exposed. So I don't know how they're keeping that news away from us, but apparently they are. During an interview published by Forbes last Tuesday, the CEO began by addressing some firms whose financial troubles are more public. Those include crypto broker Voyager Digital, and lending platform BlockFi, both of which suffered immense financial contagion following the Three Arrows fallout. Both of those exchanges received quick credit lifelines from SBF firms, FTX and Alameda Ventures. So they're still they're still available. The cumulative value of these loans was $750 million. And you know, the CEO said that he's willing to do a somewhat bad deal here if that's what it takes to stabilize things and protect customers. So they are trying to keep the crypto market on track, knowing that there's no guarantee, I guess, that he'll get his money back. So such injections aren't merely altruistic, but a measure to keep the crypto industry alive and contagion from spreading. And the contagion is what we talked about last week. The young billionaire claimed last week that it was the duty of him and other crypto leaders to support the market, even if it meant losing money. However, neither he nor Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao is naive about which firms deserve a bailout. There are companies that are basically too far gone, and it's not practical to backstop them, he said. And Giants like FTX, Binance, Coinbase, and other major exchanges are not included in that group, though many have been forced into mass layoffs during the market. Their internal operations better resemble relatively stable online stock brokerages. However, there are over 600 lesser known exchanges in the U.S. That's quite a few, many of which offer dangerously high leverage that's likely to wipe out investors and themselves if it comes to that. There's some third tier exchanges that are already secretly insolvent. They said. SBF is also keeping an eye on Bitcoin miners whose revenues steeply declined following Bitcoin's crash in early May. Last month, publicly traded industry giants actually sold more Bitcoin than they generated, with an even bigger sell-off expected in June. Both hash rate and energy consumption from miners have fallen in response, making for a less secure Bitcoin network. And the CEO believes companies that leveraged the Bitcoin in their balance sheets during 2021, also known as a digital gold rush, may be in extra trouble. So they're not. What they're not worried about, however, is Tether, the stablecoin giant that's been plagued by FUD for years. And I think that the really bearish views on Tether are wrong. He doesn't think that any evidence that is there to support that, he said. So that's kind of the background of what's going on. It's a little, maybe a little dated because it's like over a day old. So, but anyway, now that we have that insolvency fear information out in the open, so that we all have a handle on what we're talking about, let's talk with Noah about that and see, what does it mean when an exchange goes insolvent, Noah?
Well, it means that the exchange can't honor its financial obligations, pretty much. So it's kind of like, it's not bankruptcy yet, but it's the path to bankruptcy for the exchange. Yeah, I mean, once you can't cover your loans or whatever like that, all that crypto that their customers bought and put on that exchange, they do the same thing that banks do. They'll take your money and loan it out and borrow against it, et cetera, for them, so that way they can make more money. And that's what the crypto exchanges pretty much have been doing, is when you put your money on that exchange, they will loan out money against your money, take on more debt against using your money or your crypto as collateral, pretty much. And that's when that's a bad thing to do, since they can't. Sorry, I'm trying to explain it.
Yeah.
When they take out those extra loans, they're spreading themselves thin, and then they don't have the money to cover that. So now they're insolvent, and of course these exchanges, they don't want to say that they're insolvent, because then people will pull their money out, and that'll definitely lead to a bankruptcy on their part. So they're trying to be quiet about it. But I can guarantee you that a vast majority of these smaller exchanges are probably insolvent right now. So like any exchange that's not well known, I would say, is probably insolvent right now, especially if they took out lots of loans. Like, it's the same problem that Coinbase has right now. They took out too many loans, then the price of crypto tanked, and wiping out hundreds of billions of dollars worth of money. And then guess what? Now they don't have the money to pay their debts, and so you go insolvent.
Okay, I know that Coinbase has been denying that they're going insolvent, but the collapse of the cryptocurrency stablecoin Terra USD is the one that's really evoking the fearful comparisons to the 2008 global financial crisis. And that's kind of what I was thinking too, before I saw this article. The collapse when the stable coin that is supposed to be pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar devalued to a low of 30 cents on well, I guess it says here Wednesday, but that was about a month ago. It's sort of like how when Bear Stearns failed, it focused people's attention on whether Lehman would fail. So that's what everybody's looking at right now. Coinbase, like I mentioned before, they're saying that they're okay, but if all the other little exchanges fail, then I wonder if that's going to have like a domino effect type of thing.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, Coinbase obviously has more money than these little exchanges, but I mean, Coinbase had like, what was it? They held somewhere around $285 billion worth of other people's cryptocurrencies. And a good portion of that, like 70%, got wiped out because, well, Bitcoin fell and so did everything else. So I don't see how they couldn't be insolvent right now. I'm pretty sure that they are, but they're probably able to maybe they have backup reserve money, which is helping them cover their obligations. But at this point, I would probably consider them insolvent too if they lost so much money just like everybody else. I mean, when 70% of your portfolio goes into the crapper and you've taken out loans against that portfolio, so to speak, you're you're going to be in trouble.
The balance sheet isn't looking good.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I'm hearing that Tether is doing okay. Okay, it's another stable coin. Have you heard much about Tether lately?
No, not really. I mean, other than what we talked about like 2 or 3 weeks ago, with the 2.0 version or whatever it was. Yeah, I haven't heard anything else about that since.
So it's staying pretty stable for a stable coin,
Right.
and it's the one that's tethered to the U.S. dollar.
Yeah, I would guess so.
So
Yeah.
I wonder if that means the dollar is pretty stable.
We'll see.
Yeah. We're all worrying about that because it doesn't really seem like everything's as stable as it should be right now. Excuse me. Okay, audience, I've got a quick reminder here for you. You're listening to Cryptocurrency Odyssey, airing live weekly on KWRH 92.9 FM. On Fridays at 10 a.m. in St. Louis, and nationwide on Zeno FM with your city. Just type in zeno.fm/your city, and you'll be able to pick it up. That's on Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. And if you'd like to talk to us, you can call us at 314-781-7612 or call 877-212-1400 for more information. We'd love to hear your comments, so call us at one of our numbers, and you can follow us on Facebook and Quora on our Cryptocurrency Odyssey pages also. So back to the show here. The big question is, I know there's about 600 small exchanges out there that you don't hear much about, but how many of those exchanges do you think they may be secretly insolvent?
Probably most of them.
You think most
I
of
would
them?
think most of them, yeah, especially if they took out loans against people's cryptocurrency and used that as collateral. Yeah, there's probably a good chance that, like I said, Bitcoin dropped over 70% in the last couple months, right? So now in the last month, it's been 40% that it's dropped, so I would have to say that if they took out any loans against that cryptocurrency now, that they're more than likely having problems paying the bills and maintaining the money that their people, or I should say their customers, had in their accounts.
Now, would they? I guess they would borrow that money from regular banks or mostly
I would
investors.
assume investors, regular banks, or any bank that loans out high volatility, does high volatility loans, because that's what it would be. It would be a huge volatility loan. More than likely, they probably were only able to do a 1-to-1 maybe for the money. I don't know. I don't know how the banks would do that, what type of margin they give them.
Okay, so if they got sued for their cryptocurrency, that I think that would be maybe a problem for the courts, because you're suing them for cryptocurrency, but you want fiat currency to pay them back.
They couldn't really sue them so much to speak, because the crypto most exchanges, they hold on to the crypto for you. If it's in their exchange, they technically own it. You just have the rights to buy and sell it on the exchange, pretty much is how they view it. And since it's not a security that's backed up by the FDIC, you can't really there isn't much you can do if the market tanks. You're pretty much SOL at that point.
Okay, so you don't think they'd be able to take you to court, the exchanges to court?
You could take them to court, but whether you'd get anything at all is highly unlikely. So like it's like with Webull, the stuff that I have on there for my crypto, I don't technically own that crypto. The clearinghouse that they use, which is called Apex, owns the crypto. All I did was buy the rights to buy and sell it at the current price
on their exchange.
Right. And there's no way for me to pull that crypto out and put it into a hardware wallet or take it off the exchange or anything like that. It has to sit there, and there isn't anything I can do about it if it goes up or goes down or anything like that. If it completely goes to zero and gets wiped out, well then, I'm SOL and I lost some money. So, there isn't much you can do about it.
So I haven't really heard of any lawsuits yet from people trying to recover their crypto, but I'm kind of wondering how that would go. If the crypto's gone, they can't pay you with crypto because the crypto's gone. So will they accept fiat currency instead? And I don't know if you can do that. I mean, if you're suing them for crypto and they want to pay you in fiat, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me somehow. And
they'd write you a check for $10. Here you go. No.
Yeah.
That's what it was worth at the time that you lost it.
Yeah. The I'm looking here. Miner production cost is facing off with the Bitcoin price, because all the the costs are outstripping what the Bitcoin is worth. And it says here, Bitcoin miners have largely held off on major distribution of Bitcoin UST descends from all-time highs because of the all-time highs. And the picture now appears precarious. Calculations from on-chain analytics platform CryptoQuaint reveal that miners' production price, how much it costs to mine a single Bitcoin, could be right where the current spot price resides. While raw costs may be around $22,000 per Bitcoin for miners in North America, which is home to the lion's share of hashing power, additional costs could put the total at more like $30,000, and that's all electricity costs. To run the big computers that are generating that hash for Bitcoin. So I guess we have to get more electricity in this country. More electricity. Anyway, so the raw costs are more like $30,000, and right now Bitcoin's at what, 19? It was at 19, I think, on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, I checked this morning, and it was back up to about 20.
Okay, 20, about 20, what,
20,000.
20,000. Okay.
Yeah, let's see what it's at right now. It's at 19.5, so it's dropped $668 in the last hour.
Okay, so it's still pretty volatile.
Yeah, it's still bouncing around between 19 and 20. So
Okay, so the estimated cost basis for Bitcoin miners in North America is around 22K per Bitcoin mined, and the estimate includes the direct cost of mining and S&A expenses. It does not include depreciation and amortization charges, CryptoQuaint said. So I suppose that drives up the cost. Okay, here we go. Bitcoin and Tether, 119,580. I can't get it out today. Okay, so fears of a capitulation event among miners should spot price deteriorate, remain a talking point. And so far, only the May dip below 24,000 saw a noticeable reaction from the mining community, and data shows increasing Bitcoin flows from miners to exchanges during March 2022, and then a sharp spike in flows during the first week of May. But right now it's all down. So I guess the miners have probably they're taking their time about it because it's costing more to mine than they can recover.
yeah, if I were them, I would be unplugging my mining machine right now. All my mining machines, I just wait. Because if it costs them 22 grand to mine one Bitcoin, then and it's only worth 19 or 20, you're losing 2 grand by mining. So you might as well wait for the price to go back up and stop mining. Which is probably why a bunch of the hash has dropped off, is because people have been unplugging their machines, or like, well, it's not worth it right now. I'll spend more mining it than I'm going to make, so might as well just cut my losses in a bad economy. And some of the talk around Reddit and places like that I've been seeing is that they're expecting the price of Bitcoin to drop to a low of about 7,000 a coin at the bottom.
Whoa.
So that could still, whether that happens or not, still to be seen, but they're saying that could be the bottom.
7,000 could be the bottom, huh? That's going to upset a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you don't have Bitcoin, that'd be a time to at least buy one, because there's a good chance that it's going to go back up eventually. But
well, that's the common belief, is that Bitcoin will go back up. But if it goes down to 7,000, I mean, that's what does that do to all the other exchanges and coins? I mean, they're gonna. That's I don't know.
They're gonna wipe out it'll wipe out a bunch of exchanges, which is probably what we need anyways, as a correction in the system right now anyways, because I mean, the Bitcoin at 69,000, which was its all-time high or somewhere around there, I mean, that was too high, and that people said that the bubble was going to pop, but nobody knows when, right? So
I remember that. So you think that Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies in general were overvalued?
Yeah. Well, I think Bitcoin was for now, anyways. They're still saying, oh, well, it could still go back up to 100 grand or 60 grand or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but it's going to be years before that happens. So, before it goes up to 100 grand, anyways, it could go back up to 60,000 tomorrow or next week or next month, but I highly doubt it. I would expect it to drop down lower to my bottom that I've been saying for the last couple of months is around 10 grand is what I think it'll get to.
Okay.
But people that I've been talking to have been saying that it's closer to the bottom, it's probably closer to 7. And I'm like, well, 10.7, that's still a good buy-in price if you're looking to make some money.
Yeah, if it goes back up to 60, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
or 50, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
That's the whole thing. Will it go back up? I mean, that's going to be serious if it goes down to 7 or 10, because not only is it going to crash everything.
Well, I mean, I see it going real low around 10,000 to 7,000, especially now that I was just reading that CNBC article about the recession that we're headed into, and they're saying 5 quarters of recession. What were and what were you saying? You're saying, well, 2 quarters is a recession, and then 2 more quarters is a depression. So that means that they're saying that at the end of 2022, we're pretty much going to be headed into a depression.
That's
for at least 3 quarters.
That used to be the standard. The standard thing was, 2 quarters down are recession, and then beyond that, you start getting into a depression. And I know that everybody hates the depression word because when you hear depression, everybody starts holding on to their money, and they don't spend it.
Based off of that one article, I could see by this time next year, Bitcoin possibly being at $7,000 to $10,000 a coin, maybe even lower, but who knows? We'll have to see what happens with the economy.
So you think that it would take a year? I'm not sure if it's going to take a year.
Nah, I don't think it'll take a year, but I just think that give me a little bit of padding.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's see. This is July, so we've still got 6 months left. So it could be down to 7 by the end of the year. And that's probably not good. I know a whole bunch of people that are going to be unhappy, including the Bitcoin guys. And, if Bitcoin gets down to 7 and all the exchanges go insolvent, what happens to the market if everything goes insolvent?
Well, like if the exchanges go insolvent, then people that have their crypto on that exchange have effectively lost it, because since they use that money or use that crypto as collateral to take out their loans, guess who's going to get that? Guess who's going to get the collateral? Those banks that offered the loans, and the banks that currently hold loans against that. They're going to get all that crypto. So you will lose it, and that's the big thing that's gonna happen if they go insolvent.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna see banks are gonna have all this crypto, and that's kind of gonna force them to go into the crypto market, because they're gonna have to do something with it. Because if they just hold it, they can possibly make some money off of it, but at the same time, they're using it as collateral, not because they want it, but because it does have a cash value.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And do you think they'll probably, if you can't pay, they'll probably sue to get your house or your car or something like that, so they can sell it.
I mean, no, I don't see that happening, especially with LLC'd places, or LLC'd exchanges.
Right.
Because that limits their liability to the exchange, and just like my LLC limits my liability to just my company. Anything that the company owns can be sued if I wreck the truck and kill somebody or something like that. They can take everything that the company has, but they can't touch what I personally own. So.
Right. And that's kind of, I think it would be a big legal mess with all these banks and I guess individual investors too would sue, and with the current court system backed up from COVID, they're still backed up from COVID, is what I hear.
You'd just be out of luck.
Yeah, you would basically be out of luck, and just out of luck. So
yeah.
Okay, listeners, we are coming into our first half break. We've got some ads we'd like you to listen to. So listen to those ads, see if there's anything there you like, and maybe you'll want to buy something. We'll be back here in about 5 minutes. Don't go away.
Commercial Energy Consultants is a 10-year-old company focusing on middle to large commercial accounts. CEC offers these companies services by lowering their electric and natural gas rates. They don't charge for this service, and they've got over 9,500 happy clients with over 1 billion kilowatt therms under contract. What makes them different is their reverse auction. CEC offers a way to have available suppliers in 17 states bid openly for energy business. Why, their mission is clear. Bring their clients the low bid for their energy consumption. In fact, because of their competitive auctions, energy consumers would be well advised to consult with CEC first. Why pay more for the exact same power? For more information, contact Mike Grimes, CEO of Commercial Energy Consultants at 1-877-212-1400. That's 877-212-1400.
Hey, listeners, saying thanks to your customers is nice and polite, but expressing your gratitude in memorable and ongoing ways can boost your business. At Promo Experts LLC, we exceed our customers' expectations. For over 20 years, our product knowledge and experience has helped them with their marketing initiatives and trade show graphics. We are happy to put that experience to work for you. Quality products, great customer service, and prices are our #1 priority. We work with you to find unique, creative, and new ideas that fit your image and expectations, helping you build strong relationships with your customers. When you select Promo Experts as your marketing partner, we help you to see more than the big picture. For more information about this exciting opportunity, contact Diane Carson, President, at 636-458-5241. That's 636-458-5241. Let Promo Experts help you to move your business brand beyond the bland.
Attention! Here are 5 things that you can do to avoid coronavirus scams based on the Federal Trade Commission guidelines. Number 1, do not respond to text messages, emails, or calls about checks from the government. The government never sends emails requiring that you do anything. Number 2, ignore online offers for vaccinations and home test kits. Number 3, hang up on robocalls. Scammers are using illegal robocalls to pitch everything from low-priced health insurance to work-at-home schemes. Number 4, watch for emails claiming to be from the CDC or the WHO. Use sites like coronavirus.gov or usa.gov/coronavirus to get the latest information, and don't click on links from sources that you don't know. Number 5, do your homework when it comes to donations. Never donate in cash, by gift card, or by wiring money. For more information to help you be prepared, contact Tony Zifilopoulos. He's a 25-year IT professional with the last 6 years specializing in cybersecurity. Tony is a certified information specialist auditor, and he will review your cybersecurity. Tony can be reached at 314-504-3974. That's 314-504-3974. And email TonyZ@fixvirus.com. His website is www.fixvirus.com.
Have you always wanted to write your own book but don't know where to start? Publishing Concepts, a publishing company located right here in St. Louis, offers everything from consulting, book printing, copyrights, ISBNs and barcodes, print book layout, ebook and iBook layout, graphic design, cover design, ghostwriting, typing and editing, distribution, marketing, and more for an affordable price. Visit publishingconceptsllc.com or just Google Publishing Concepts to get started today, or call 314-781-8880. That's 314-781-8880. Publishing Concepts. We help you sell more books.
Welcome back, listeners. And just to loosen up things around here, I've got a joke. How about that? First joke that I've told on the show. What I want to know is, what is an assassin's favorite cryptocurrency? And I'll give you a second or two to think about that. Got it? Okay, no answers. Well, it's Hitcoin. How about that? Okay, I can hear you all enjoying it.
Play the laugh track.
Yeah, yeah. That's what we need, is a laugh track. Yeah. Okay. So next question. Getting back on the subject, while during the break we were talking about how can you avoid losing your money to insolvent exchanges, and what can you do now to kind of back yourself up? How can you do that?
Well, the best way to do it is not to have your money on the exchange, or I should say your crypto not on the exchange, because that's pretty much the only way to avoid it is to have it in a hardware wallet or a software wallet. You can Google the term hardware wallet and for cryptocurrency or cryptocurrency hardware wallet or crypto hardware wallet, however you want to phrase it. And about 10 to 12 of them should pop up, and then you got to do your research to find out which one is the best. We did a episode a couple months back that talked about hardware wallets and all the different wallets and stuff like that. You can always refer back to that for the ones that are considered the best. Other things is that you want to get that crypto off the exchange prior to them being insolvent, because once they're insolvent, you probably won't be able to pull that crypto
Probably
out.
would be able to get it, yeah.
Yeah.
So if your crypto's on a hardware wallet and the exchange goes insolvent and they use your crypto to pay their bill, do you still own that crypto because it's on the
No,
wallet?
because once they took out that loan against the crypto, the bank that they got the loan through effectively owns it until that loan's paid off. So if they go insolvent and default on that loan, the bank now owns that crypto because they used it as collateral.
Okay. So even if it's on a hardware wallet, that's not going to protect you.
Well, if you get it off if you get it off that exchange before that happens, then you're okay.
Okay, right.
Because it'll be on a hardware wallet, no exchange, or nobody can really touch that wallet unless they're at the computer that you have the wallet on.
Okay.
And that's the nice thing about hardware wallets.
So I guess would it be better to keep that on your phone or keep it on
I keep it on a USB drive.
USB drive? Yeah.
That way you can move it from computer to computer or wherever you need to take it, or you can put it in a safe and not have to worry about it. Whatever you want to do.
Now, will all hardware wallets handle all protocols for all of the Bitcoins, or do you have to have...
You have to get one that's specific for that protocol. Some will do like ERC20s and BRC20s or whatever it is. And then some will only do ERC20, and then some will only do BRC20 or whatever coin you're looking at. So you want to make sure that whichever coin you have, that the hardware wallet supports that coin, because if it doesn't and you try to transfer it to that hardware wallet, it will disappear into the ether.
Right.
And it'll just be gone, and there'll be no way to recover it.
So, yeah, you have to make sure that the protocols are matched up. Now, I heard about a new exchange. I believe it's a new protocol, too, but it's called Bitmart. Have you heard of that one?
Bitmart?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've heard of Bitmart, yeah. As an exchange, yeah.
Yeah, it's... I guess it's kind of new. I know that you had mentioned BitGert in the past, and I didn't know if maybe Bitmart was part of a...
No, I don't think so. I think Bitmart's been around way longer than BitGert was.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So BitGert
I
could
remember
be like a
seeing
fork
Bitmart.
off of Bitmart then, or...
Nah, I don't think so. I think it's just whatever name the developers of BitGert decided to come up with.
Okay. So, I don't know. I suppose there's a lot of protocols in development right now, and yeah, if they're in development, I suppose they're going to be going a little bit slow because people that are backing them might be saying, hey, let's wait here and see if this is going to work or not before let's see what happens with Bitcoin, for instance. So, listeners, if you're just now joining us, you're listening to Cryptocurrency Odyssey, airing live weekly on KWRH 92.9 FM on Fridays at 10 a.m. in St. Louis, and nationwide on Zeno FM. Again, just use zeno.fm/your city to access that, and that would be Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. And again, for more information, you can call me at 314 314-781-7612. That's my office number. And the number again is 314-781-7612, or call our 800 number at 877-212-1400. And we do have a website at ccodweb.us. If you want to go in there and just type as a message, we'd appreciate it, and we will get back to you. So right now, I was looking at an article about KU Coin, and they were talking about how KU Coin is doing with all these, the cryptocurrency things that we're all going through right now. They're favored by many active day traders, apparently, on KU Coin, and those in the United States, as they require little KYC, which is know your customer, and their derivative pairs. For some traders, it's one of the only options for margin trading. And are you familiar with that one much?
I'm familiar with margin trading, but I'm not familiar with that website.
The KU Coin?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay. So they were worried about that contagion again coming in. Possible contagion from eToro or to eToro, I guess. I'm not familiar with that one. Binance, Bitstamp, Coinbase, and FTX. And so that's something that I guess we should research in a future story. Let's see here. So for now, let's talk about the crypto winter. There's been talk about a crypto winter, and I think we've kind of already approached that subject. But how long do you think that the crypto winter will last?
Well, with that CNBC article that I just read about the recession that they're saying we're going to be in at the end of 2022, which is supposed to last 5 quarters, which is a year and 3 months? Yeah, so a year and 3 months, which we were just saying, that's not a recession, that's a depression.
At that point.
Anyways, that's neither here nor there. It's probably going to last longer than we thought, the crypto winter. I was thinking probably if we don't hit a recession, probably the end of this year, it could be over. But now if what CNBC saying is going to happen is going to happen, then, we could be looking at 2024 before things start to even look up.
Before they start to thaw out. Huh?
May of 2024,
So watching news reports on the economy, world events, and what the government might do or say, and then pending legislation, which is something else. I know that there is some pending legislation for cryptocurrency, and I don't know, it hasn't been announced yet, has it?
Nah, I don't think they might have some bills in committee or something like that, but so far all I've seen is them talking about legislating it and trying to regulate it, but I haven't seen any actual bills come across the Senate yet. So, but if they do anything this year, I highly doubt it. I think they got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, I think everybody right now is interested in the midterms, and with all the changes that the Supreme Court is making, they seem to be having a daily change machine going on there.
Right.
And there's a big battle coming up in the midterms, and so I guess probably crypto will stay at least in the condition that it's in right now, and we'll see, I guess, how it happens. So I do have a lead in here to Celsius because the market crashed. Celsius crashed in the market, and I don't know if it's even viable anymore. Are you familiar with that at all?
I am not.
Okay, so that's I was kind of wondering. The Celsius token it's an ERC20 token, and since the market's been down, so has Celsius. And again, that all started with the Terra stablecoin crash. And so I guess we'll just wait for that. So moving on, big banks and mainstream institutions and cryptocurrency. Do you have where do you think that's going to go?
I'm not too sure. I mean, with a lot of these exchanges getting margin called, as well as banks going to be taking on that collateral of the crypto that these insolvent exchanges are going to be given to them here pretty soon, is probably I just I don't know what exactly they're going to do with it, but they're probably going to end up selling it off, and that's probably going to drive prices down lower because they're going to try and recoup some of their money.
Definitely.
They might hold on to some of it, but I don't see them holding on to a whole lot of it. They might hold on to the stuff like Ethereum and Bitcoin because it's the most valuable, but I don't see them holding on to anything smaller than that, you know?
Okay. Like which ones do you think will go away?
I'm thinking that they'll just sell off anything else that isn't Bitcoin or Ethereum, you know, and I don't think that that's going to cause them to go away, so to speak, but it's definitely going to drive prices down.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds like Bitcoin and Ethereum will be the only thing left when we're done here.
Well, I mean, the coins, they came out of thin air anyways, right? The only value is the value that we place on it. So like I don't see the coins disappearing completely. Whether they're going to continue being traded, probably not, but you never know.
Okay.
They could still continue to be traded and then continue to have some value, but I don't think that the coins are ever going to actually disappear. They'll probably just be worthless, but you know, they'll still be there. You know,
yeah.
it'll be like a old coin from the Civil War or something like that. It doesn't really have any value except to somebody that collects them.
Right.
You
right.
know?
We're going to collect Luna coins. Yeah. I've been noticing that Luna is still showing up on some lists as zero, worthless. And I thought, well, why don't they just take it off? What is there a reason that they keep it on the list?
I think that's just because they probably still have people that are holding on to it.
Yeah.
I know, and they probably said, I don't want to lose my money, so I'll just hold on to it and see what happens. But once it hits zero, it's pretty much worthless, and the chances of it going back up are going to be zero, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty slim.
Yeah.
Pretty slim. And, you know, a while back we talked about the JP Morgan Chase coin, JPM coin, and I've kind of kept my eyes and ears open on that one, but I haven't heard much about it. I know that they were only doing it for their own customers,
Right.
but they had planned on expanding it, is what
That's probably
they said.
That's probably the current state of the crypto markets probably put that on the back burner. You know,
Yeah.
and the current state of the U.S. economies probably put that on the back burner as well. So, you know,
Yeah.
there's
okay.
not much to say about that. You know,
I mean, yeah. So crypto research and development is probably on the back burner right now.
Probably for their coin, yeah.
Yeah. Or for any coin, you know. I mean, I'm going to say just because we got 19,000 coins that just appeared out of nowhere, all those coins had to be developed by somebody. And with the market being what it is and Bitcoin so low, it's hard to pay for those development costs. You know.
Yeah, it's probably definitely slowed it down quite a bit, if not stopped a lot of the smaller coins from developing what they want to develop. Mm-hmm. Although, you know, the original developers might be the ones doing the actual coding now instead of paying somebody else to help them with it, you know.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if I were developing a coin and I were paying somebody else and then the market tanked and I lost a bunch of money, I'd be like, well, I'm not going to stop development on it, but I'm not going to pay this guy to do it anymore. I'll just do it myself.
So you think the CEOs can do it themselves?
No, they started the coin themselves, so you know, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to program whatever they need to program.
That's an interesting concept there. I like that. The CEO finally has to go to work. Okay,
Actually has to pull their weight.
yeah. So let's see. Wells Fargo is also offering cryptocurrency funds. I guess they've got their own. They're offering it cryptocurrency funds to their wealthy clients, and so and Goldman Sachs is trading Bitcoin futures, which I'm not sure if that's an oxymoron or not. You know,
Well,
Bitcoin
right now it probably
futures.
will be.
I mean, that's getting pretty crazy here. Now, I guess the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, is he still there? Jerome Powell or
I didn't.
Gensler? Mr. Gensler is,
I
I
don't
guess,
know.
the Fed. One of the Fed chairs are right up there, and I'm kind of wondering what he might be saying lately, and I haven't heard much about that. So let's. One of my questions here was, is cryptocurrency taxable? And I think that right now it probably isn't. You know, I mean, nobody's actually making money on it.
Yeah, I mean, if you make money on it, it's taxable, especially through places like Coinbase, because Coinbase got in trouble and got like a couple $1 million fine or something like that from the IRS or the U.S. government in general for not giving W-2s for people or 1099s or whatever it is that they give out, you know, and I think it's W-2s. And so places like Coinbase have to give out a W-2 if you made money on it, you know, and so yeah, it's you have to, in the U.S. at least, you have to declare it if you get a W-2 from someplace like Coinbase or, you know, a 1099 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know,
I would
because it's
think
being reported to the IRS as well.
Yeah, I don't know if it makes a difference whether it's a W-2 or a 1099, but I would think a 1099 is more apt. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, 1099, no taxes taken out. W-2, taxes already taken out, you know?
Mm-hmm. Which, you know, that brings up another question is how do you handle the taxable stuff when the market is way down like this, and if crypto crashes, I guess you can just write it all off as a loss.
Yeah.
You
just write it off as a loss.
If they're accepting that.
Yeah, they will be. I mean, you know, it's kind of like you know, you don't pay taxes on unrealized gains. You only pay taxes on the actual gains that you get, even though the government wanted to change it to unrealized gains, but we're like, we didn't sell anything and we didn't buy any, or we didn't make any actual money until we sell it. So why would you tax unrealized gains? Like India does that. You know, the country India, they do that. They tax unrealized gains, and that's what we were talking about a couple episodes ago with India and everybody there that is now in debt to the government because they can't pay their taxes because they made so much off of Bitcoin, but they never sold it. But yet India taxes unrealized gains, so you're better off just selling it at a high and then waiting for it to drop and buying back in and paying your taxes. In India anyways, but here in the US, we don't tax unrealized gains. So unrealized gains are just that, unrealized. You know, you can't be taxed on it, but Biden earlier in the when he first got into office was all, oh, we're going to tax unrealized gains, and everybody was like, no. You know?
Yeah, they were against that.
Yeah.
I know. And I read an article, they were talking about the investors in India. They can't pay those taxes because after they got taxed on the unrealized gains and the market went down, they can't even sell the Bitcoin to pay the taxes now.
Right. You know, they don't have the money, so.
Yeah. So I don't know what they do in India, whether they throw them in jail as tax.
I have absolutely no idea how they
tax
deal with
charge
that.
or what.
Yeah.
But so they're it's causing problems there too, and that might be one reason not to tax unrealized gains, because if it drops, they're not going to be able to pay the tax anyway.
Right.
So now you got a whole bunch of unhappy investors and unhappy accountants.
Taxing unrealized gains in the U.S. would probably lead less people to investing in the stock market, and probably it would completely change the way people traded stocks anyways. They'd be like, well, I'm going to get taxed on this anyway, so I might as well sell it, and take that money and put the tax money away.
Yeah.
So I mean, there'd be no point in holding on to a security. Once you've made your money, you might as well get out and go look somewhere else. So.
Yeah. Now, here's some guys that might be in that category. Hodlers in Wales, who owns the most Bitcoin in 2022. While the Bitcoin blockchain is public, knowing who owns the most Bitcoin isn't as simple as it should be. And here's what we know. One of the main features of the Bitcoin blockchain is its transparency. Bitcoin lets anyone see every transaction that has ever been made on its network and check the balance of every address out there. Because of the transparency, we're able to know who owns the most Bitcoin in 2022. And it's important to look at who owns the most Bitcoin, as the cryptocurrency supply is limited to 21 million coins. And Kim Gower, in February, director of research at blockchain forensics firm Chain Analysis, said that an estimated 3.7 Bitcoins have been lost, effectively deflating the cryptocurrency's circulating supply. And experts estimated that as Bitcoin's adoption rises, demand for it will skyrocket. And as 3.7 millions are estimated to be lost, and a significant amount is being held on chain by early investors, what may follow is a supply shock. Such a shock could only materialize if demand skyrockets in the future. Well, I guess demand is not skyrocketing right now, but we are in shock.
Right.
From the price going down and all the other things that are happening in the market.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Do you think this should we sit and wait for people to come in and invest in Bitcoin? Because if we wait, it's more likely to go back up, or is this a good time to get into the market? I guess is what
I don't think
to say.
Right now is a good time to get into the market with what's going on with the economy and the economic forecast and stuff. It's definitely going to cause it to go down even more as the U.S. economy shrinks. So I think that holding on to the money you have now and waiting is probably going to be your best bet for the best gains in the future. If you're already in the market and you don't want to lose money, then you might as well hold on and see what happens. That's the best thing I can tell people is just hold on, let's see what happens. If you've already have the money and you don't want to lose it, or you don't want to guarantee to have a loss, you can just hold on and see what happens. But there's a good chance that you're going to lose even more.
Yeah, let's do some education and learn how to invest in our Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So one of the tips of our tip of today is always dollar cost average. Even professional traders get swept away by the fear of missing out, or FOMO, ceding to an urgency to build a position as quickly as possible. But if everyone is getting 50% and higher returns consistently, and even meme coins are posting stellar returns, how can you stand aside and merely watch? The strategy consists of buying the same dollar amount every week or month, regardless of the market's movements, and Monday afternoon is a good time to buy. We are now at the end of our hour. Want you to come back and listen to us next week, and remember, don't take any wooden Bitcoin.
Welcome